Welcome to Self-Love Ignited. My name is Katie Allen. I'm a certified health and life coach, and we are here to talk all things self-love, self-acceptance, body image, health, and total well-being. You are going to hear from me, plus you'll hear the stories of other women who have transformed this already. They have walked this path, and they have really learned how to love and embrace all parts of themselves. We are here to help you be inspired, motivated, and to help you really transform your relationship with yourself to be a loving and positive force each and every day. This is so important so that you can really reach your big dreams, feel at home in your skin, be healthy on your terms, and live a big life. What are you waiting for? Let's get to it. Today on Self-Love Ignited, I am talking with Angela Sessions. Angela has over 20 years experience in the healing arts covering creative therapy, energy healing, and shamanism. Her mission is to help others experience beauty and love in this life. Angela has been so kind to come on and share her story of living with physical disability, of learning to love and accept her body just as it is, and of shedding all of the expectations and ideals that society places on her and all of us. What are you waiting for? Dive on in. Angela, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you here finally.
Thank you, Katie. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. I know you and I have been going back and forth for a little while, trying to find a time to do this. And I'm just so grateful that we finally made it happen.
Yes, we defeated the time zone thing.
Yeah, Australia to the UK is not exactly the easiest to manage.
No.
Yeah. So today, we are talking all about self-love, body image, self-acceptance, and everything sort of surrounding that. So I suppose the easiest place to start really was, just like tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do, and then we'll sort of go from there.
Yeah. So my job, if you like, and it's really hard to describe these kind of spiritual healy type jobs, isn't it? When someone asks me, what's your job description? And you're like, I help people. That's the best way to put it. I help people. So I got into kind of meditation and Reiki in the 90s when I was 19. And I just got into it as a hobby, never dreamed that it would become a career because I was actually at university training to be a drama therapist. And then I realized that like the arts therapist was really well with all the spiritual stuff too. So I ended up just starting my own business. And I did like freelance work for different charities for people with physical and mental disabilities. Just teaching Reiki, shamanic healing, that kind of thing. So obviously I've worked with a lot of very unique people with lots of different body shapes, different medical issues, and obviously myself, I've got my own health problems too. So for me, this is like I suppose, I hate the word normal, but it's the norm. You know what I mean? Just to be surrounded by all these unique people. Yeah.
That's awesome. And have you always lived in the UK?
I have, yes. I'm from near Manchester, which most people have heard of because of Manchester United Football Club. But I moved to the Midlands about 18 years ago, and I love it here. So quite happy to stay here. Nice. But my roots are in the north. You never forget where you come from, do you?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. So I would love to hear a little bit about your story. Of course, I know sort of a few little bits and pieces, but this podcast is, like I said, we're all about self-love and telling the stories of women like you who have really come from a place of like not liking parts of themselves or not liking parts of
Yeah.
their bodies. So
Yeah.
why don't we just start at the beginning? Tell us a
Yeah.
little about your challenges, that you faced when it came to your relationship with yourself or your body. Like, how did that all begin for you?
Yeah. Yeah. So at the age of 4, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, which is curvature of the spine, and that was picked up by a school nurse doing like the routine health checks. And so at age 4, I was put in what was called a Milwaukee brace, which looks very bizarre. It's like a cast around the hips and then metal bars that come up, where you have like a metal ring around your neck. And I actually remember, well, I don't remember it, but I remember being told by my mum that the day that I was going into school for the first time wearing this brace, they held a special assembly and said, when Angela comes back to school, she's going to look different, just to prepare all the students to not be asking me loads of questions and things like that. So yeah, so from 4, I suppose I stood out and I looked a bit different because I was wearing this brace. Now, the idea of the brace was to try and stop the curve from growing, but by the time I was 9, the curve had got really bad. I had a double curve, and I started my surgeries at that point. So that's like having steel rods put in your back. Now, unfortunately for me, it was just a catastrophe. I can't even say that word. Catastrophe, because the first rod came undone, and I had a second rod put in, and that got infected. And I was actually extremely poorly with that. And so by that time, I think I was about 12 or 13. I'm not one of these people who remembers every single detail because I don't need to, you know what I mean? I can just generalize it.
Yeah.
I was there, I know what happened. And I just remember, so this was probably one of the first times that I felt a kind of, what I describe it as, a dagger in the heart. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I really thought, I'm going to be stuck like this now. Like, I'm not going to get better. I'm not going to look any different. Because what had got me through the surgeries at that point, and back in the 80s, those scoliosis surgeries were hard, man. You know what I mean? Like, now people are out of hospital within a week. Like, I wasn't even allowed to sit up for 6 months.
Oh.
It was so strict. Like,
Wow. Yeah.
I was allowed to sit up 6 months. I wasn't allowed to get out of bed for 2 months. I had to lie on my back. So it was really hardcore surgery. And what got me through it was just thinking, well, I'm going to be straight at the end of it. I'm going to be straight. It's going to be worth it. So to wake up and be told, well, actually, we took your rod out because it was all infected. All your back was infected. So we've just fused you. And it was like, you've what? Because, yeah, they did that to like literally save my life. But at the end of the day, it's this kind of knowing that that's it, like I'm stuck in this body. It's never going to change. And that's a huge thing to take on at the age of 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I never had any kind, like, if that happened to you now, you'd have loads you'd be offered counselling and things. But like I said, we're going back to like early 90s, late 80s. Those kind of things just weren't readily offered. I think probably one of the things that got me through that time was my family, because my family never treated me like this kind of fragile thing. You know what I mean? It was like, well, you just join in with everybody else and you just get on with life. And in fact, the term disability was never even used around me until I was about 16.
Wow.
So I was never described as disabled or anything like that. There was at the similar time of having this surgery and having the spinal fusion, I also found out that I had this neurological condition called Charcot-Marie Tooth disease. And that was a bit of a hallelujah moment, because nobody could understand why my scoliosis was so bad. My top curve is almost 90 degrees, and the bracing should have helped, and it didn't. But if you understand that the other muscles in your body are weak and can't support you as you grow, it makes sense that you could get severe scoliosis. So I had a bit of a double whammy there, because I'm being told, right, you've got this muscle wasting disease, not sure if you can have children, in a few years your walking could get really difficult, and I'm stuck in this body that I don't really like. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Wowzers, that's a lot. At that puberty age of 13, it's like, yeah. And I'll be honest, I acted out a little bit, you know what I mean? And I got into a little bit of trouble and things like that, hanging out with my friends, and but it all come back together. I got back on track. But going through high school was really, I think, probably really difficult for me, because I have this really bubbly personality, and the problem with having bubbly personalities is it can hide a lot of what is going on underneath. It's like, put that smile on your face and things like that. I didn't have I have amazing friends. I'm still friends with the people that I was friends with at 4 years old, so they totally understand me. They've seen everything I've been through, so I've got an amazing supportive family and friends. But underneath it all, you have got this mental processing, this emotional stuff going on that you're not really dealing with. And I did get bullied. I don't remember getting bullied much under the age of 12. But then once I'd finished, almost finished my surgeries, I do remember people commenting, when I was out with my friends and things like that, which was really upsetting, because I have a rib hump. And, if someone I tell you one thing that happened, and I just find this so disgusting. I just walked to the shop and someone just shouted out the car window at me as they drove past me. I was like, did that really happen? When you're like, did that really happen?
Yeah.
I'm just like in shock. And you're trying to deal with your own stuff. The world is harsh enough place as it is, and some idiot drives past you and shouts a word out the car window at you. You're like, what? So yeah, so difficult. And then just to sum it up, when I was almost 16, they did offer me more surgery, and they said, well, this is just purely cosmetic, just to make your back look nicer. But I was like, yeah, I'll have it, anything,
Yeah.
But the problem with that was, then I had unrealistic expectations of what the surgery was going to do, because I thought I was going to wake up and my back was going to be much flatter and just look nicer. And when I woke up, it was like, oh, I don't actually look that much different.
Yeah.
So again, that was like another huge blow, because that was it then. I knew there was nothing else that they could offer to me. So I'm there at 16 thinking, I really don't like my body very much right now. And I tell you, the other things that used to go through my mind, and this is totally the kind of thing that goes through your mind at 16, am I ever going to get a boyfriend?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who's gonna marry me? Who's gonna love me? Am I going to have children? Am I going to be able to have children? And these kind of, all these kind of questions are going through my head. Now, luckily, I was always really focused on study. I must have missed about 2 years of school, going through all my surgeries, and I caught up and went to college, went to university, and I think one of the things that really helped me with my body image and confidence was drama. Because when I went to college, I did an A-level in drama, because it's something that I'd always been good at. And I think, putting yourself out there on stage in front of a couple of hundred people, let's say, there's no hiding.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're under the spotlight. Everyone can see you. And as well, I had little techniques and coping mechanisms that used to make me feel more confident. So, for example, I always had long hair, because I thought, having long hair, and I do have long hair now, having long hair covers up your scars, and it covers up the disfigurement that you feel ashamed or embarrassed about, you know, or self-conscious about. But at that age, I actually had my hair cut quite short. I had it cut about shoulder level.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I was a bit like, oh my God, like, I'm naked. You know, all it is my hair cut to shoulder length, but I'm like, I'm naked. I don't like this. Everyone can see. But I was getting out there on that stage and just going, you know, just going for it really. But I won't lie, like at 16, that for me was like what you call that night of the soul. You know, it was like, God, this is it. I've got to come to terms with this now. I can either get really depressed about it, or just get on, you know, just get on with life really.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and that was it really. Yes. And then obviously 17, 18, I started going out, and yeah, dating became the thing, you know, a thing then. But I think, you know, I think that's one of the things like people are a little embarrassed to touch on, like when it comes to like body image stuff, like the dating thing and stuff. And it's like, we need to talk about it.
Yeah, definitely.
Because your perception of yourself will actually affect all your relationships and who you date. You know, if you don't feel worth it, you're not going to attract somebody who will treat you like you are worth, you know, the world to them. You know, so so that's like something that needs to be addressed as well. So yeah, so here I am. I'm almost 43. I did have a baby. Yeah. Really hard, really hard work. And I mean, yeah, having a baby, that's another thing that affects your body image massively. I mean, for me, when I was pregnant, that was actually the most feminine that I've ever felt, because having scoliosis, you tend to have quite a short torso. So you don't have like the curves, you don't have like that nice waist and things like that. And obviously when you're pregnant, you don't have a waist anyway. Right. So it was, so for me, having that like belly, it was like, oh my God, like I just look like everybody else now. The fact that I don't have a waist, I have this lovely curvy belly. I mean, I know it's just like most people are like, you what? You were happy you didn't have a waist. But it's like, I've not got one love anyway, so it don't matter. But yeah. So yeah, and after I had my baby, again, parts of my body that I did like were gone. So I'm like, oh my God, I've got to go through this all over again. I go through this all over again now, learning to love my disabled post baby body now as well. So yeah, and I was told at 21 that I would be in a wheelchair by the time I was 40, which I can safely say I am not. Yeah, I'm not even anywhere close to excuse me, to being in a wheelchair. Because again, being told those kind of things, it affects your self-confidence, it affects your view of your body. It's like, I don't want anybody to see their body as being broken. You hear people using words like that all the time. My mind is broken, my body is broken, you know. For me, one of the things I try and get across with my shamanism and stuff is that words are like spells, you know, words are magic, and the words that we use about ourselves will determine our energy and, you know, our health and everything. So I've never said I'm broken. And also, if you say you're broken, that's like putting across that that you need to be fixed, that somebody needs to fix you. So I think if I can just say this, kids, one of the things I spoke to you about was that lady approaching me on the street that time in Glastonbury and saying about how I needed to go and see this acupuncturist and he'd fix me. And yeah, just random well-meaning lady coming over to me. You look young to have a walking stick. What's the matter with you? And again, those kind of words. What's the matter with you? You know, there's nothing the matter with me. What's the matter with you?
Yeah.
And and I say this, you know, I'm guilty of saying this one. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Or there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, it's not so black and white. It's not wrong or right. It's not fixed and broken. We're just somewhere in between. Everybody is somewhere in between.
Right.
Yeah. So this lady, you know, this guy will fix you. And again, one of those kind of moments where you're just in a bit of shock and you don't really know how to respond. And I just said to her, it's fine. I don't think he can fix me. It's oh yeah, a bit of yoga. Yeah, that's not gonna fix it. You know, trying to explain to people that like literally probably a third to half of your spine is completely fused. So, you know, if it's fused, it's not gonna change shape. It is as it is. But yeah, and I think it's when you have like a physical disability or a disfigurement, it's actually quite good to have some ideas of how you might respond to people in advance, because you know it could happen that someone actually says something. Majority of the time there's no malice at all. They're trying to be well-meaning, but if you know, it can sometimes knock you for six that someone's actually said these things to you. So I think it's good to have in you know, like just have in the back of your mind some of the things that you might respond with. And now being the age that I am, I'm so much older and wiser. I have a better vocabulary, so I can deal with these kind of experiences much better now. Yeah.
I think this conversation is so important because so often the body image conversation is really focused on women in larger bodies and feeling comfortable in them. And I mean, to be fair, that's my story, right? Like that's my point of view. And that's totally a valid point of view, but it's not the only one. And I think, you know, people forget that every person on this planet is in their own body and every single body is different. And, you know, people of all shapes and sizes, of all levels of ability have body image challenges, and we all have our own insecurities. And, you know, I'm guilty. When I was younger, really before I started this work on myself, I remember one of my really good friends, she was, you know, blonde and athletic, and she was just one of those, you know, one of those like quote unquote like perfect bodies. And in my head, I always just assumed that she was just confident and happy and like had no problems. And I remember talking to her one day and she just said, you know, I stand in front of the mirror and I pick at my body and I see all these things that are wrong. And I don't know how old I was a teenager, but I just remember going, oh, it's not me, you know, like everybody has these issues. And I'm so happy that you're here so that we can get sort of this point of view. Right? Because
and another thing I just want to point out as well is sometimes I would get angry. Like I'm way past that now. But sometimes I would get angry because I'd look at people who to me had perfect bodies complaining about the body. You know what I mean? And it used to trigger me, because for someone who has a perfectly healthy body, let's say I didn't really care about the size, whether it was a size 8, whether it was a size 16, it didn't matter to me. But you know, when they'd say, oh, I can't get in this dress and this kind of thing, and I think, you know, well, yeah, but look at you, you're straight, you know, you're straight, you're symmetrical, you've got a waist, you know, you can walk well, you can touch your toes. You know, and I kind of like be thinking from that point of view. So I think if you are someone with health problems or physical disfigurement, it's very easy to be triggered by other people, you know, comparing themselves to you. Or, I mean, one thing that's always made me laugh is like when people would say they were envious of me, and I'd be like, you're what now? Do you know what I mean? I'd be like, you're what? Well, you're so slim. And I'd be like, okay, but like, number one, I'm slim because I've been told to stay slim because it's better for my health condition. Number two, I'm slim because my muscles have wasted away. So don't be thinking that like this is natural, because yeah, part of my muscles have gone.
Right.
And nobody wants to be skinny because they've got muscle atrophy, you know, because it means like the strength is not there.
Yeah.
And number three, I would rather be of a larger size and be healthy. No doubt about it. You know what I mean? I'd always choose a healthy body, no matter what it looked like. So yeah, it's like you said, it is weird, like how people perceive others, and yeah. So there you go. I think probably for me, one of the things that people like and say inspires them is my confidence, you know. But the thing is, I certainly wouldn't be the person I am if I didn't have these issues, you know. If I hadn't grown up going in and out of hospital and going through some really, you know, traumatic times with physical stuff, surgery, emotional stuff, being bullied, missing school. Yeah, I wouldn't have the strength of character that I've got now. So I always come back to what truly matters is your character, not the vessel that is carrying it.
100%. I agree with you.
Yeah.
I always love to say, you know, I am a human being and I live inside my body, but I am not my body. Like,
yeah.
And I think it's true for every single one of us. Like, our bodies are simply our homes while we're, you know, regardless, we all have our own beliefs, but like while we're here on this planet, our bodies are just where we live.
Totally.
Yeah. And like, they don't have to define us at all.
I love that Roald Dahl piece in, I think it's the Twits book, where he talks about people who are kind, and says that people who are kind will always be beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, because the kindness comes out of your face. You know, when you smile, you light. Excuse me, I've got throat issues now as well. Yeah, when you smile, you just light up the room, and everybody is attracted to that glow, to that kindness.
Yeah.
And that is often overlooked now. So there you go.
I would love to hear from, like, you've touched on it a little bit, but I would just love to hear, you know, because you said like you've had your scoliosis and everything like right from when you were little, right? So this is something you've had your entire life. You've sort of you hit puberty with it. You had to go through your teenage years and you know, like come to terms with it. And for a while there, I know you said you were in like a very dark place with your body and really like hating it. And now here you are, what you said, you're 43, I think you said.
Yeah.
And
nearly 43. I've got a few more weeks left of
42. But you have just such like a beautiful positive outlook. Like you said, like the energy and the outlook, like that's what matters. Like what did you do through your life? Like, how did you create such a positive outlook? Because I know that there's people listening to this who are feeling really shit about their bodies, you know, for whatever reason, and they're probably missing that outlook. So like, what's sort of been helpful for you?
Well, there's a few things. I think number one, gratitude. So focusing on what you can do and what you have. So focusing on the beautiful parts, you know, what you perceive. Forget everybody else. What you perceive as beautiful parts of your body, you know, like looking at those and nurturing those every day. Obviously, you need to nurture the bits that you don't think are beautiful, but to shift your focus, because if you look in a mirror, I've done this. So like, you look in a mirror and you keep staring at the bits that you don't like. It's like they explode in your vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, take your focus away from those parts. So I think I've got a nice face. So I have one full length mirror in my whole house, and I rarely use it because I don't want to look at my whole body in the mirror. I don't need to. I know my clothes fit and they look fine. I'd rather look at my face in the mirror, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So do you see what I mean? And I spend like a time doing my makeup and like having nice face creams, and I know it sounds like really silly, but I do think, you know, focusing on the parts of yourself that please you rather than the ones that displease you is a good tip. And being grateful for all parts of your body. But again, it's like, yes, I can see I have a nice smile and I love my smile, rather than, oh, I don't have a waist, I hate the fact that I don't have a waist.
Right.
So it's the self-talk, you know, every day that you give yourself. The other thing as well, I think self-care is really important. Looking after your body, so like nutrition, eating healthy, meditation, exercise, almost like making the best of what you have, really. So, you know, if your body isn't 100% healthy, then you want to be at the maximum of healthy that it can be. So, you know, because I do energy healing, I have a lot of clients who have lots of different health problems like fibromyalgia, MS, and these kind of things. So I'm going to encourage those people to have a healthy lifestyle so that they can be at the maximum, you know, working capacity.
Yeah.
That they can be. So I think that's another thing. It's like, just look after yourself, you know, because like definitely what you eat will affect your mind and your mental health. That's a huge thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I suppose, I mean, for me, the drama definitely helped. So find something that you love and focusing on that in your life, but also doing things that push you out of your comfort zone. So, you know, I got to a point where it was like, you know, I'm on a beach and I want to wear a bikini. And again, I think for me it's slightly easier because I have grown up with my body being different to everybody else's. Whereas, for example, if somebody suddenly has, let's say, an accident and they might become an amputee or something like that, or they might lose the breast to breast cancer, it's a huge blow because it's happened very suddenly and they have to then come to terms with the body being different. But for me, it was a process of years. So, you know what I mean? So I have that advantage in that way of accepting my body a little bit easier. But it just gets to the point where you just think, like, I want to sunbathe in a bikini on the beach. I know people are going to stare, but I don't care. You know, like, I don't care. Have a look at how amazing I am.
Yeah.
You know, well, it's like, feast your eyes on this deliciousness that is unique. I always remember when I went to Australia, I got ill there. I got really, really bad chest infection because scoliosis can really affect your lung capacity. And they took an x-ray of my back and they came to me and they said, can we ask your permission? Could we share your x-rays around the canteen at lunchtime? Because we've never seen anybody with scoliosis like this before in this hospital. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, go for it. Do you know what? That made me feel like a Hollywood celebrity, that did. I was like, yeah, you got, you know, like, I'm special. No one at this hospital. I've seen someone like me. So again, it's like turning something, you know, making fun out of it, like humorous, taking something that again could be like really like, oh God, you know, this is awful too. God, I'm freaking special. I am. I'm unique.
I love that you can take that, like just take the fact that like you're in the body you're in, you look like you, and use it as a teaching opportunity, because I think that's something that every single one of us, like, we have that ability if we choose to use it.
Yes. Yeah. So you can either inspire people or not inspire. It's your choice, isn't it? Everybody has that potential to inspire people, and you can either use it or not. It's up to you, really.
Yeah.
And I think if I wasn't doing what I was doing, it would be such a waste. You know what I mean? It would be such a waste not to share my story. And like I said, ultimately, everything that I've been through in terms of my medical issues and my body image issues is giving me this character that I've got now, which is really compassionate, really understanding, really empathetic, and that draws people, you know what I mean? That draws people to me, and it means I can help them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I would love to know, like, how has sort of, you being in the body you're in, having the health challenges you've had, like, how has all of this affected your path to really, like, having your own business and becoming a healer? Like, how did that happen?
So I got into Reiki when I was 20, was I 19, 20? 20, yeah. And I had chronic pain. I mean, you can imagine my spine is like, it's like a letter S shape. And it's fused, and my ribs are completely out, and everything, like I've got one leg 1 centimeter longer than the other, like nothing is symmetrical on me apart from maybe my nostrils. And so I was in chronic pain, scar tissue and everything like that. And again, going back to those times, like 80s, 90s, you wouldn't dream to have a massage. I mean, I have massages all the time now, obviously not in lockdown, to help with the pain. But like, if I'd have thought about it, I should have been having massages since I was 4 years old, really, and lots of physical therapy. And so I was taking painkillers like daily, and part of me knew even then, in like the mid-90s, this wasn't good for me to be taking painkillers every day. And back then, there wasn't that awareness around painkillers like there is now about how much damage and how addictive they can be. And but I just thought, I've got to get off these things. So I went to do Reiki 1 just like a hobby, really. But within 3 months of doing it, I was like off the painkillers, and I'm thinking, oh my god, this is amazing. Like, this is the best I felt pain wise in years. So then I obviously went and did my Reiki 2, and then I had no intention of being a Reiki teacher whatsoever. And people started asking me, would I teach them? So I was like, yeah, all right then. So I really just fell into it. You know what I mean? It was not, I was always into spirituality and like meditation and things like that. But regarding like the actual energy healing and Reiki, it just kind of happened. And like I said, at the same time, I was like doing like freelance work for charities like Save the Children and MenCap and things like that, and the local council doing drama, like creative therapy workshops with people with different disabilities, physical and learning disabilities. So I really just chucked myself into it all, I suppose. And from then it's just kind of grown and grown and grown. I mean, the other thing I've found is plant medicine. So again, that's kind of like looking at all the natural stuff that you can put into your body that helps you relax rather than turn into chemistry, if you like. There's so much that nature can give us that can help us, but also things like, because as you know, I do like cacao ceremonies and things like that, which are going to help you. There's great nutrition, helps your body relax, but also sets off the bliss molecule in your brain. So you just feel good, you just feel really good. Like you've just had a bath in chocolate good. So again, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling anxious, there are things that, like chocolate, raw chocolate. I mean, people can't believe this stuff can affect you so deeply, but it can. And not just looking at it from like the physical, three-dimensional side, but the spiritual side as well. So, you know, like plant medicines give you emotional and spiritual healing, so you can work through issues about your body that way as well, and doing journaling. And you know, sometimes we have to relive things as well to work through them and understand why we have the issues. Like one of the things I did, I think, was I used to settle for relationships that weren't really equal, where I was giving more than receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And that was totally coming down to the worthiness of, well, I've got this body that's maybe not that attractive, so I should just be grateful that somebody wants me, you know, which is really sad when you say it out loud. But yeah, and counselling, you know, is amazing, to go and talk it through with somebody. And you know, there's things that I've said this year in counselling that I have kept to myself for years, like locked away, you know. And it's like, oh my God, I'm just releasing it all now and saying it all now. Like how I felt when that person screamed out the car window at me, and how I felt at school when someone started calling me names in the classroom. You know, it's like shame. You trap all that shame inside yourself of being bullied and name called. And yeah, and it's finally time to flipping release it, you know. Don't carry it any longer. I mean, it's bad enough we shame ourselves, never mind carrying shame from other people. You know, there's that saying that says like there's like so many billions of people in the world, and you're going to let one person ruin your day.
Yeah.
You know, and that person should also not be yourself either.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember reading recently I don't know where I read it, something like, you know, comparing guilt and shame and what the difference is. And it's like, guilt is feeling bad about something you did. Shame is feeling bad about who you are. And like
totally.
Nobody, yourself included, has the right to make you feel like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I had somebody, I remember it was actually just before I got pregnant, so this is like 15 years ago, and I was in a nightclub, and I remember walking past this table, and this guy shouted out at me, anorexic. Just shouted it out at me. Now, I was, especially pre-baby, I was slim. I wasn't anorexic, but I was very slim. And like I said, that's partly because I have muscle wasting disease. And, you know, like part of me wanted to turn around and go, hey, I got a muscle wasting disease. Do you know what I mean? I wanted to turn around and shame him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like make him feel ashamed for saying something to a disabled person. But then I thought, like, he probably wouldn't feel it anyway. Probably wouldn't feel as bad as how he just tried to make me feel anyway. But again, someone shouts that out to you, and it's like it really feels like someone slapped you. You know, it's like, oh my God, like, do I look like I'm anorexic? And yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? But I've definitely had my fair share of those kind of experiences where you know, people have said something to me, and I'm happy to say I haven't had a bullying experience like that on my physical appearance since I was 30. 30 seems to have been the cut-off point. Now, whether it's because maybe people don't, because I look older now, and they think, you know, oh, she looks like she'd mess back with me if I said something to her.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's always good to have to think about comebacks, you know what I mean, before, to just have that little library in there of how you would deal with that. How would you deal with it? I mean, bullying is a whole other topic, but you know, it does affect people massively, massively
Yeah.
when a complete stranger just shows something out at you. It's,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
very, very, like, really intensifies any shameful feelings that you have about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. If there was, can you told me a story when we were talking last week.
Yeah.
I want you to tell it with the bikini on the beach. With
Oh,
your,
about my friend's little girl.
yes.
Was it that one?
Yeah, when you were in Spain, I think.
Yeah. So I went to visit my friend who was in Spain, and her daughter at the time was 6, 7. And I said to her, we were going to the beach. And before we went to the beach, I said to her, now, I'm going to be wearing a bikini. And I'm going to tell you now, people are going to stare at me. And she kind of looked at me, because obviously she's known me for years. And I said, they will. And I don't want you to get upset about it, because I just look different and they're not used to seeing somebody who looks like me, and they might just be curious. I said, and it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. And I don't want you to get upset about it. And yeah, and I was there in the smallest bikini ever. And she felt comfortable, I felt comfortable, and there were no obvious incidences, and she was busy playing. But that evening, excuse me, went for a walk down the pier, and I had my hair tied up because obviously it's hot. And she grabbed her mum's hand and she went, Mum, that man just stared at Angela's back. And I could tell she was outraged. And her mum said, yeah, but remember what Angela said? She's fine about it. She told you it might happen, and she's fine about it. And she just went, oh, yeah, okay. And it's like, it's just like educating children to, I mean, in one way, people might think, oh, it's such a shame you have to point out to children that people are going to stare. But it's just the reality of this world. And it's just saying, it was just to make her feel comfortable, like I'm comfortable, you know what I mean? And
Yeah. I
to
just
say it's fine, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I think that I think she is so lucky. Like I'm just trying to, remember back, if when I was 6 years old, somebody told me, I look different, people might stare, and it's okay, don't worry, it's not a big deal. I feel like my body image would have been so much different as, a child and a teenager. Like just having that example. And I think, like, on one hand, you're right, it is a shame that we have to say it, like that is your reality, but also that's how you change. That's how we change society. That's how we teach the next generation, so that, in another, 30, 40, 50 years, kids don't have to still be learning this.
I mean, there's one thing I just want to point out as well here, that people are naturally curious. And also, I think it's important, people might think I'm absolutely mad now saying this, but I also think it's important not to shame people who are curious, I mean, I don't think it's right to walk up to someone and just say, what's wrong with you? which I've had several times. What's wrong with you then? What's wrong with you? Nothing's wrong with me. What's wrong with you? But at the same time, if someone walked down the street, and this happens in Glastonbury, by the way, in the UK, someone walks down the street with a baby alpaca on a lead, you're gonna look.
Yep.
You're gonna look, because that's a bit unusual. So if someone walks down the street with like a mohawk, it's cool. It's cool. I'm gonna look at it because it's like bright green, sticking out. It's cool. So if you walk down the street and you have something that is a bit unusual about you, people might just naturally look. And it doesn't mean that they're looking out of malice, or they're looking out of some twisted kind of like, ooh, what's wrong with that? Like, it could just be that they're naturally curious. Or do you know what? It could just be that you're actually really attractive and they want to look at you. So I'll take that last one. But you see what I mean though, don't you? I think we've got to stop getting so hung up about it. Like, don't hide yourself because you're worried about somebody looking at you.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I think as well is I always look to like some of the European cultures that are not so hung up on the bodies. Like when we went to Iceland, we went in a spa and they said to us, like, you've got to shower completely naked in the ladies, in the ladies' changing area. Well, I was also with my friend and her little girl at that time on that holiday,
Mm-hmm.
and we all looked at each other like we're best friends, but I've never seen you completely naked. So again, I actually did this funny kind of like striptease. I go, because I thought let's use like, because I could see there was a little bit of like a little girl was like, oh my god, I've got to get naked in front of Angela, and it was like, come on, let's use humour and make this funny, because in Iceland, women aren't bothered about being naked in front of each other. We are in the UK, but like in other countries like Iceland, Finland, there's not this huge thing about nudity. And I think there's a lot we can take on from that as well. It's like our cultural conditioning of feeling uncomfortable in our own skin. Even if you've got perfect, what people perceive as a perfect body, like you said, Katie, people still have hang-ups about it.
Yeah.
So just like touching on what you said, like what has helped you with the confidence thing, is to understand those social constructs. What is your truth and what is the truth of society, and breaking that down. So if society tells me that I'm not a perfect size A, I don't have a perfect body, then I'm like, bin it, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I don't care about that social conditioning because it's not my truth and it doesn't resonate with me. So that's another thing to think about, is like your environment and what you take on board and what you don't. And the more of us that stand up and say, like, that's a social construct and I don't care about it doesn't affect me, the more of us will feel happy and confident in our bodies as well.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And the more of us do it, the stronger we are. Like, we're stronger together. Yeah. Oh, this has been awesome. This has been awesome. We've been talking for almost an hour.
Oh, I can talk for England. Don't you worry.
So, Angela, if listeners want to find out more about you, get in touch with you, or learn about your work, what is the best place for them to do so?
I have a website, which is dearheartwoman.com. So that's dear as in DEER. And I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Dear Heart Woman. So, they can always pop over there. Obviously, I cover all bases with my spiritual work and stuff, but I am an advocate of, body, loving yourself, body image. Like I said, I'm trying to move away from this word disability. Because like I said, when I got labelled with that at 16, I was like, yeah, what? I'm disabled? Oh, I don't like that. And I'm trying to move towards the word livability. Like how much ability have you got to live? That's what matters. So livability and lovability are my two new words now instead of disability.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm an advocate of livability and lovability on there. So if any of that resonates with people, then they can follow my page, and I'm probably more active on Instagram out of everything. So yeah, if they want to catch me on there, that would be cool.
Okay, awesome. And I'll make sure to link all of that in the show notes so they can just click on through. And I can definitely vouch, you are like the Instagram story queen. Seriously. Like that's like my goal.
Do you know, yesterday I only did 2 stories all day. I know, that's like the first time in probably, I don't know, 9 months that I've hardly put any stories on, and I've not done one yet today, so I'm going to have to really impress you now today. Yeah, I will. Yeah, I love doing the stories because again, that's the creative therapy. Like, use your stories, and this goes to people, not just with businesses on Instagram, but just just people. If people are looking at your stories, use them to inspire, use them to heal, and use them to educate. Yeah, like, just have beauty in your life, have beautiful posts and beautiful stories, and uplift people, make them feel good about themselves. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. All right, beautiful. We're going to end there. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for coming on.
Yeah, very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to get a hold of Angela, find out more about her work, or just have a conversation, she is always up for a good chat. The links to her website and her social media are in the show notes. Also, if you would like to be part of the Self-Love Simplified Facebook community, come on over and join us. The link is there for you as well. Have a beautiful day.